Expected to become Pakistan's new president today, but he'll be taking charge of a divided country. The White House has urged the new leader to continue cooperation in the war on terror, but following claims of a US strike inside Pakistani territory, it's an increasingly controversial request. Sky's Asia correspondent Alex Crawford reports.
They line up their dead, and it's a sight which has outraged the country. There's been widespread fury at the idea of US commandos crossing into Pakistani territory, the first known ground incursion by American soldiers from across the border in Afghanistan. It was meant to be an attack against militants. The Pakistanis say civilians died and have called it a gross violation of their sovereignty. It could seriously threaten the relationship with one of the West's key allies in the war on terror. The commando raid comes at a critical point, just as the country's on the brink of electing a new president. The dictator may be on, but many in Pakistan, like the former cricketer Imran Khan, fear they're just about to swap him for a civilian version.
For someone who has not been elected, who has actually inherited a party, is suddenly now the most all-powerful man in the country. It's frightening for all of us.
This is the moment that changed Pakistani politics, the assassination of Miss Bhutto last December. Her death stunned the country, but also catapulted her husband into the spotlight. The man she'd intended to be very much in the background was now in charge of her party, and after the elections, the country. He's a controversial man, a constant figure by his wife's side when she was Prime Minister. He was nicknamed Mr. 10% for the cut he was said to take on government contracts. And he was jailed for corruption charges he says were politically motivated. After the elections, he formed a partnership with one of his wife's rivals, another former Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, but that fell apart days after the two of them forced Mr. Musharraf to resign. If Mr. Zardari wins enough votes in the two parliamentary houses, and that looks likely, as president he'll be able to dismiss the Prime Minister, dissolve Parliament, sack the head of the army, and he'll be in charge of the country's nuclear weapons. The Pakistani media had a field day when it emerged his own doctors had judged him mentally unfit, unable even to remember his family's birthdays, as part of his defence in a corruption case brought in Britain just a year ago. His friends insist that's all in the past.
He's the right person. He did definitely had some counselling, because I told you that he had been 11 years in jail, tortured, several attempts were made on his life.
But one of the other presidential candidates insists the position's far too powerful to be filled by a man with doubts over his mental health.
He has his finger on the nuclear button, and I think that these are important questions. In any other democracy, shall we say, in the West, either in Britain or in the United States, such a person would perhaps have been declared ineligible for this position of the top slot in the country.
There's no doubt he polarizes opinion in Pakistan.
They are just some of the people who believe they're swapping one dictator for another, albeit a civilian one. They never expected Mr. Zardari to be in this position. Now he looks like becoming one of the most powerful men in the world.
But despite the protests, bar a massive upset, Benazir Bhutto's widower will be the next Pakistani president, and then it'll be down to him to prove his democratic credentials. Alex Crawford, Sky News, Islamabad.
A billionaire tycoon, a beautiful pop star, rumours of illicit love and a brutal murder